Hello and welcome to the latest episode of the Low Budget Review Show. I am your host, Eric Smith. Today I am talking about Piñata by Leopoldo Gout. Hopefully that's close to the proper pronunciation. This is from Tor Nightfire. I really like that cover. And this is the fourth and final book in a series that I am calling Hey, I went to Barnes & Noble and bought 4 brand new books, and then I decided that I was just going to read those 4 books in a row so that I didn't have to make any sort of decision on what I was in the mood to read. Series. I believe that's the official title. I think that's exactly the way I put it in the last video. So, what is Piñata about, you might ask? Well, let me tell you. Our main character is Carmen Sanchez, and she works for this company that has sent her to Mexico. She lives in New York. They've sent her to Mexico to renovate this old church and they're turning it into a hotel. And she has brought her 2 daughters with her, Isel, who's 16, I believe, and Luna, who is much younger, 9 or 10, I think. And so they're down in Mexico. She's working on this project. She's having trouble with the people there because even though she's Mexican, she's actually from this area. She's considered an American, which, it's all part of America. But, a U.S. American, she's considered a foreigner, and she's a woman. So they're giving her a hard time, so she's dealing with that, and she's dealing with her kids. Her 16-year-old daughter is always on the phone. Luna, very precocious, love that character. But anyway, some stuff happens, and there's an accident at the church, or abbey, and something is released. And Carmen and her kids go back to New York, and something seems to have followed them back. That's the nutshell. So, I'm going to tell you right off the bat, I'm going to do this I may start just doing this right at the beginning, do the sort of too long, didn't watch thing where I just tell you I gave this 5 out of 5. I absolutely loved this, and let me tell you why. First of all, we start with a cold open, which takes place, I don't know if it actually gives a date. Let's see. It does not. It just says prologue, but it's conquistadors, and they're, being conquistadors, slaughtering people, trying to convert them to Christianity, and we get sort of what piñatas were back in the day. They weren't these nice fluffy things that you beat and got candy out of. There was much more significance to what they were, and there were clay pots and things inside. I'm not going to get into all of it. And this freaking religious dude, I think he's a bishop, kicks a kid to death because the kid will not break the piñata because of the significance of it and everything. And of course, the bishop, or whatever he is, wants these savages to become Christians. And some people run away and things happen. Then we jump to present day, actually, I think it might be in the future, just a couple of years. At some point, I think this is the book where there's a date that says it's like 2027 or something. Anyway, that's not important. So we meet our character. We meet Carmen and her daughters. They're in the market. Luna is running around and talking to the vendors and buying things and stuffing them in her backpack. So we really get to know these characters, why they're there, what their personalities are, and everything. And what Carmen's job is. She's at the job site. She ends up invited to a birthday party for one of the workers' children, and she goes with her daughters to maybe mend relationships with the people that she works with, but weird stuff starts happening, like weird, creepy stuff. And we meet some other characters. There's a guy that works at the job site who is actually friendly with Carmen, and I believe his name is pronounced Kiutley. Could be completely wrong about that. I looked it up, and I think there were a couple different ways it was pronounced. So I had Kiutley in my head, and then there's another character that we eventually meet, Yoltzi. Again, not sure about pronunciations, and she has basically psychic abilities, and talks about that Luna is an innocent, which can be a gateway for evil things. So anyway, the first part of this book, the part that takes place in Mexico, was giving me Exorcist vibes, because you have it's not an archaeological dig as we have at the beginning of The Exorcist, but it is an ancient place, and things are being unearthed as they're doing these renovations. And we have a young innocent girl, and a single mother, except she has two daughters in this, as opposed to The Exorcist. We have these weird, dark things that start happening, and we don't know what it is. We don't know what's going on. The characters don't know what's going on. And I'm not saying it's just like The Exorcist, but it just gave me that feeling I got watching, reading The Exorcist. I just got these vibes. I was really digging it, and I'm thinking this is at least a 4 out of 5 star book. I like this. It's spooky. It's well written. It's got interesting characters. It gets into lots of Mexican history. But then, the second part of the book, I keep wanting to say half, but I don't know that it's halves. But once Carmen and the kids go back to New York, and there's a priest character. I didn't look up his name. I don't remember it. But there's a priest character who's friendly with Carmen, and he's involved in stuff that's going on. But once Carmen and her kids get back to New York, all of a sudden, and this could just be me, I got the feeling, I felt like I was reading a trashy 70s or 80s zebra, like Paperbacks from Hell novel. And I mean this in the best possible way. This just gave me those, again, vibes. The craziness that ensues once they're back in New York. I felt like I was in my teens again, reading one of these books with the garish cover. I would love to, as much as I love this cover, and I think it's really cool, I would love to see like this come out in a mass market paperback size, replicating those old 70s and 80s trashy covers. There was a time when like the publishers of horror were putting skeletons on covers willy-nilly, whether or not it had anything to do with the story, and it would actually fit with this. They could do a crazy skeleton cover, but man, that would be fantastic. And once I got to this part, once I realized the craziness that happens with Carmen and her kids, mainly Luna, I knew this was 5 stars. I absolutely loved what was going on in the second half of the book. And there are some crazy things. There are some things that surprised the hell out of me. Just fantastic. Just a great, fun read. It's, as always, I never want to spoil anything for anybody, so I'm trying to avoid talking about just the wildness of what goes on. Early on in the book, the characters are having visions, weird things are going on, spooky, creepy, scary things. But basically, not literally, but basically, when they're back in New York, all hell breaks loose and it gets wild. And I loved it. I was here for the ride. This was compelling. I didn't want to put it down. Stupid day job, stupid need to sleep, keeping me from reading. Excuse me. Piñata by Leopoldo Gout. Tor Nightfire. 5 out of 5 stars. Highly recommended. Just fantastic. Plus, it's really cool reading the Mexican mythology and things. I enjoy that sort of thing. Always been a fan of mythologies. Of course, learned about Greek and Roman. That's the stuff they kind of taught in school a little bit. But I delved into the Norse mythology and but things like Egyptian mythology and Mexican mythology and different things. The myths that had less humanish characters, I've always seen depicted and pictured like Greek, Roman, Norse gods as humans. I could be completely wrong about that, but that's how I've always pictured them. I believe that's how I've always seen them. There are other creatures within the mythologies, but the gods themselves are basically humans, physically speaking, looking. But, you've got in like Egyptian mythology, you've got crocodile-headed gods and cat gods and bird gods, and different, the hippo god, and all the different sort of an animal pantheon. And then in Mexico, and I know there's all sorts of different, there's Mayan and there's Aztec and there's all sorts of different mythologies, but I've always loved, hopefully I won't ruin how you say this, but Quetzalcoatl has always fascinated me, and they are difficult for me to pronounce, all these different creatures and gods and things, but I'm fascinated by this sort of thing. So good stuff. Not gonna repeat everything again, like the title and the author and my rating. I just wanted to show that cover one more time. So there you have it. 5 out of 5 stars. See, I did it one more time. My question for this video: are you a fan of mythology? Have you studied mythology? And if so, what is your favorite mythology? For me, there was a time when I would have said Norse, basically based on reading Thor comic books. That's what really got me into reading Norse mythology. And you've got the great Neil Gaiman book, Norse Mythology, that's his retelling of all the stories. But as I said, I'm really fascinated by the less human mythological gods. So I might have to say, and I'm not an expert in any of this in any way, but I might have to go with like Egyptian at the moment, because I just really dig, Anubis and Set, and crap, I know others. I just can't pull them out of the old dome at the moment, but I would probably go with Egyptian at this point in my life. What about you? Do you even care about mythology? If you do, what's your favorite? Let me know in the comments below. If you have any comments, questions, or corrections, please put those in the comments below. Comments are open for spoilers. Just post a spoiler warning. We try to be polite here at the Low Budget Review Show. Please like, share, and subscribe. All the usual YouTube stuff. If you'd care to follow me on other social media as of this recording, I'm still on Twitter at Ronin5757. On Instagram, where I post pictures of books, comic books, board games, and fuzzy animals, I am Eric Smith 5757. That's Eric with a K, ERIKSMITH 5757. That is all I have. This has been the Low Budget Review Show. I've been Eric Smith, and until next time, read more books.